Good morning. It's just past 9 a.m. on the east coast of Florida. This is part 3 of the huge amount of breaking news this morning. It's all important, so please follow along with all of them. Like, repost, put the 5 comments, and follow along with all of the creators out there because we've got some issues with that. So where we left off, we talked a lot about Elon Musk, about what's going on. It's really important. Go back and look at it. Now, there's been so much about Elon Musk and Doge having all of this unprecedented access into the systems that have our, federal information like our social security numbers, your tax returns, all of this US aid, which we'll talk about in a minute. This is all really scary and bad, but it's not as if we didn't have a warning of some of this. So a couple of days ago, there was an article here in Wired, which is interesting. And it talked about how Elon Musk's friends have infiltrated another government agency. And it said that Elon Musk's former employees are trying to use White House credentials to access General Services Administration tech, giving them potential to remote into laptops, read emails, and more. So again, this is not the conspiracy side of TikTok. This is unfortunately the actual factual side. So we don't need the conspiracy weird stuff, folks. Don't even bother with that because reality right now is scary enough. So this article talked about how Elon Musk's minions, from trusted sidekicks to random college students and former Musk company interns, have taken over the General Services Administration. I don't think something that many people even knew existed. That's a critical government agency that manages federal offices and technology. Already, the team is attempting to use White House security credentials to gain unusual access to GSA tech, deploying a suite of new AI software and recreating the office in X, Twitter's image, according to leaked documents obtained by Wired. So again, I don't know how many people are reading these things by Wired, but it's significant and important, particularly with now what has happened in the last couple of days. Some of the same people who helped Musk take over Twitter more than 2 years ago, and go back and see in part 1, we talk about how after he bought that a little over 2 years ago, it is now devalued by 80%. So there's the genius that's going to be in charge of everything. He devalued it by 80%. All right. So they're now registered as official GSA employees. That's a federal agency. And somehow these former Twitter and Musk employees and college people, they are official GSA employees with access to the most sensitive data that there is. So, for instance, Nicole Hollander, an unofficial, it's always the unofficial ones that are the scariest, member of Musk's transition team, has high-level agency access and an official government email address, according to documents viewed by Wired. Her husband, Steve Davis, also has taken on a leading role in Doge. Thomas Shedd, the recently installed Director of Technology Transformation Services within GSA, worked as a software engineer at Tesla for 8 years. Edward Korstein, who previously interned at Neuralink, which is a whole big thing, by the way, has been onboarded along with Ethan Sharatran, a Harvard senior who is developing his own OpenAI-backed scheduling assistant and participated in an AI hackathon. And this article talks about how these are young, inexperienced engineers aiding Elon Musk's government takeover. Folks, this is a that is spelled the same way with a chicken, where they house the chickens. That's what's going on here, and rhymes with a ooh. This is happening in real time. And this article is saying, I believe these people do not want to help the federal government provide services to the American people, says a current GSA employee who asked not to be named, obviously, citing fears of retaliation. They're acting like this is a takeover of a tech company, but this is the United States government. They appear to be carrying on Musk's agenda, slashing the federal government as quickly as possible. They are currently targeting a 50% reduction in spending for every office managed by the GSA. Again, these are facts, not conspiracy. There also appears to be an effort to use IT credentials from the Executive Office of the President to access GSA laptops, internal GSA infrastructure. Typically, access to agency systems requires workers to be employed at the agencies. While his team could be trying to obtain better laptops and equipment from the GSA, sources fear that this mandate laid out in the DOGE executive order signed by Trump would grant that body broad access to GSA systems and data. This unprecedented, I hate that word now, access could give Musk's proxies the ability to remote into laptops, listen in on meetings, read emails, among many other things. A former official with the Biden administration said, granting DOGE staff, many of whom are not even government employees and have not taken an oath to the Constitution, giving them unfettered access to internal government systems and sensitive data poses a huge security risk to the federal government and to the American people and public. Not only will DOGE be able to review procurement-sensitive information about major government contracts, it will also be able to actively surveil government employees. Now, this GSA takeover mimics his strategy at the other federal agencies like the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, which we have heard about much to our dismay. And that's where the whole emails went out about the fork in the road. And then we had the whole FBI issues as well. Now, they told Wire, multiple GSA employees said they're refusing to resign to this fork in the road email, particularly after the American Federation of Government Employees, which is the AFGE, told its members on Tuesday that that offer could be void. They are saying, quote, there is not yet any evidence that the administration can or will uphold its end of the bargain, meaning paying them through September, and that Congress, there's no evidence that Congress would go along with this unilateral massive restructuring, or that there is appropriated funds to even be used this way to pay them to resign. So those are some of the issues that have been raised. There's also concern that under Musk's influence, the federal government might not pay for the duration of the resignation period, which is what I just said. And remember, thousands of Twitter employees sued Musk because he failed to pay their agreed upon severance. And real quickly here, after, of course, the whole yesterday with all of the tariffs and the back and forth and everything that with Canada, well, now Canadians are canceling their trips and they're banning American booze after these tariffs. One mayor of a Canadian border city of Windsor said in an interview, quote, it feels like Trump wants to restructure the world order. Yes, that's what we've been trying to tell everyone. He's willing to start with his closest ally. If he's willing to do this to Canada, what's he willing to do to everyone else? Exactly. And you think all of our allies across the world aren't thinking the exact same thing? Some of the residents said, quote, there's nothing I can do about this quagmire we now find ourselves in politically with the regime next door, but I can change which toothpaste I buy, and that gives us something to do while hopefully our political and business leaders sort this out, meaning they're doing what we need to be doing as well, using the power of the purse to protest these events. Ontario Premier Doug Ford ordered American-made liquor to be off the shelves. And he said, quote, every year, LCBO sells nearly $1 billion worth of American wine, beer, spirits, and seltzers to Canada. Not anymore, Ford wrote. Another British Columbia resident posted, quote, to have Americans insult Canada has got my back up. I think every Canadian is just disgusted, right? I think the tariffs are treachery. All right, let's try to end on a good note here. Thousands rallied in downtown Los Angeles, shutting down the 101 freeway to protest Trump's immigration policy. This was on Sunday. It was still going on after 10 p.m., many with Mexican flags and other flags protesting the policies. All right, talk to y'all later.